Circling back though,
Yeah.
to college basketball just in general, do you have a pick for worst conference this year between the top four conferences?
Well, I think now with especially if like Cooper Flag cannot return at all for like the entire tournament, I think the eye is going to be on the ACC. We mentioned it just a second ago, right, where our pick was still alive for Duke to win the tournament,
Mhm.
to win the conference tournament, the ACC tournament. But
Yeah.
if you look at March Madness, how far can they go without Cooper Flag? Probably not all that far. So then when we look at the ACC as a whole, especially after you hear some comments made by other coaches in different conferences, it's kind of like lacking, right? People noticed it. It's been a full year now of completely down play, and you're seeing other conferences such as the SEC, Big Ten, which we shouldn't overlook too. I think you're going to get into that in just a second, but like we shouldn't overlook those conferences either. They've been super strong. I think out of like the main conferences, the ACC is definitely has to be in last place.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think the Big 12 definitely took a step in the wrong direction this year. A lot of people had them as a lock to be one of the best conferences or the best conference in college basketball. You have Houston, Texas Tech, Arizona, like Iowa State, Kansas, Baylor, all those teams. It felt like a lot of them had down seasons. Kansas, obviously, most notably, only went 11-9 in conference play. They finished it with a 21-12 record. Iowa State had a really good season, at like it probably better than a lot of people were expecting. But I mean, like they got up there in the rankings and then kind of they weren't all that great during conference play. They were only 13-7, only 6 games over 500. BYU had a really surprising season. They ended up in the final rankings as well. But I mean, the Big 12 definitely like regressed, at least from the fact that a lot of people thought they were going to be the best conference in like all of college basketball. And then I just want to kind of rehash what you said on the ACC. I mean, you look at the top four. It's Duke, Clemson, Louisville, Wake Forest. And then after that, they don't have a single other team ranked. The next best would be North Carolina. They went 13-7 in a weak conference play this season. They weren't very good just as an overall team. Duke, it was like very top heavy. Duke, Louisville, and Clemson were like the three that stood out. Duke went 19-1 conference play. Louisville went 18-2. Clemson also went 18-2. But then after that, there was just like no depth in the conference at all, which is really surprising for one of the best conferences. Duke and North Carolina typically always carry, but like that conference had little to no depth all season, and it was just really surprising to watch. I didn't think that the ACC was going to be the best conference, but they definitely regressed. And if Cooper Flag didn't go to Duke, then they would there would be no conversation like this. Like the ACC would not be. There's a big gap between the Big Ten had a resurgence this year. I think they finished with 7 or 8 in the top 25. The SEC had 4 of the top 8 in the last ranking. So, I mean, yeah, the ACC just was not that good this year.
Yeah, so here's what Nate Oates said about the ACC. This was just over a day ago, I believe. We've had more top 25 wins in our last 7 games than every ACC school did the entire season. I don't know if that can be fact checked completely, but I think at the same time, it just shows like what the reputation is this year about the ACC. And I think we're both in agreement that they just haven't had it this year. And the rest of college basketball, the other conferences have definitely caught up.